This week I'm embarking on my longest solo ride ever from Newcastle to Bristol. 500 kilometres. It's my auntie's 60th birthday and she thinks I'm in Italy, but I'm not, I'm here and I'm riding towards her. Let's get into it. My name's Ben Chapman and I've rode bikes for as long as I can remember. I love nothing more than jumping on a train and going to explore. I just love the freedom of having a bike. Good morning and welcome back. Yes, I'm cycling to Bristol, which is around about 500 kilometres from door to door. This week I was meant to be in Italy at one of the classics, having some fun on my gravel bike, but I couldn't go. My auntie still thinks I'm in Italy, but I'm not. I've just entered Yorkshire. I'm 43 kilometres into riding to Bristol and I've got 2 days to do it. I've got nothing booked, I've got my toothbrush, a little bit of money, and I'm going to have to find at least 2 hotels, I think. But this will be my longest ride ever on my own. And I've got a stonking headwind all day. My longest ride to date is around about 200 kilometres, which was the Stone Circle from just over a year and a half ago. And when we rode across India, I think it was around about 158. But then you've got a couple of wheels to sit on. If Francis is tired, he can sit behind me. And if Lawrence is, well, no, Lawrence is never tired, so Lawrence just sits on the front most of the time. But you see my point, there's always someone to share the load with. And today I could do with some load sharing because I've got a headwind. I planned this around about 3 weeks ago, so I can't pick which day I was going to go on. So if I've got a headwind, I've got a headwind. I've set the bike up a little bit different today. I've set the bike up a little bit different this wind. As you might have noticed, I've set the bike up a little bit different this week. I've got, for the first time ever, some aero bars on my Trek Amonda Palmares edition. It's the first time I've used it. I took it for a quick test spin yesterday and it is super comfortable, but we'll talk about the difference in my body position. Well, we've got the next 30 hours to talk about that. As much as it is really, really windy, I've picked a gorgeous week to ride this route. I've set it up in Komoot and it's just taken me the safest route possible, taking me leaving Durham, through Darlington, into Yorkshire, down into Sheffield, and then further down towards Derby, Birmingham, and then heading on to Bristol. Don't know at what point I'm going to stop, but this is the benefit of riding on your own. I can do what I want. Around about 70k into this now, and I'm not a massive fan of McDonald's. I have one a month probably, but Foxton, Audax or Foxton, he never has McDonald's unless he's on a long ride because it's so calorie dense. I'm just in the middle of Yorkshire, so I know there's not going to be much between now and the next village, so it's easier just to eat some calorie dense food and crack on. After some pretty heavy training in Tenerife last week, I don't feel too bad, but I like this. I like being able to stop when I want. I don't have any hotels booked, so I can keep going depending on how I feel. I feel a bit free. I'm going to try and get a bigger meal later, but I'm definitely going to use all of my daylight. I've got 2 extra bottles of water and a full fat Coke with my meal. Water's going in here with the Torque Energy powder, pink grapefruit flavour. The other one's half full already. So I've done 4 bottles in, well, since I left at 8:30, it's now 12:30. So I'm definitely drinking enough. And I've had 2 Torque Energy bars. So I think it's just an eating game. I always say you can ride as long as you want, as long as you've got enough sleep and enough food. I've recently been using that Whoop watch. I got it at Christmas to motivate me to do more. And it's definitely working. Last night was the first night I got 100% sleep. Massive Chinese yesterday afternoon. I was full of salt and MSG. To say where I want to get to, because I have split this into 3 parts. I think I'm well ahead of the first part, but I don't want to talk too much about that. I just want to ride. I can never turn these off. It's the first time I've rode with headphones, and just to give me a bit of motivation, a little bit of Bon Jovi in the ears. Gah, 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 gah. I've done 70k in 3 hours, it seems. Oh, change direction. Every time I start speaking to the camera, Wahoo starts shouting at me. Right, so yes, I've done 70k in 3 hours. The plan is, it's 12:30. I'm not going to stop now until 3:30, which means I should be able to get another 70k done in 3 hours, which will take me to 140. If I can get to 140 by 3:30, the roads will be pretty busy by then because of the schools. So depending on where I am, I might be able to push on to the 200. If I can get past 200, I've broke my 200 for the day. I don't know, see how it goes. I've got this thing where I feel great up until a certain point, and then my legs just turn off. No warning whatsoever. It doesn't get sort of painful slowly, it just comes. But we'll see. But still, a beautiful day. Back to Bon Jovi. Ga, ga, ga. Ga, ga, ga. Bone density headphones, they're really good. I can still hear the traffic and the music. In France, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. 90k in. I got these TT bars yesterday, probably a bit of a risk running TT bars on, well, a ride of 500 kilometres of down the country. I took them for a quick test ride, not far enough, but enough to make sure they were comfortable. And they are really comfortable, but I found a little bit of a problem, and it almost highlights how small this bike is. I always knew this frame was too small for me when I built it up. But when I get out the saddle, now I brought these bars forward. The 100mm stem's just not long enough, and my knees are hitting the pads where my elbows go. As a tester for something I haven't used before, they only weigh 500 grams, and they're only £30, so if I do like them, I can get something a little bit more expensive, and maybe a little bit lighter, put them on a bike that actually fits me.
Oh, this is yours, isn't it?
I forgot my camera. update was at McDonald's. It's now 3 o'clock. I'm on 125 kilometres. So well on target for what I wanted to do today. More rubbish calories, I'm afraid. Cold pepperoni pizza. That'll have to do. That pizza has no intention of digesting. Just about to hit 130 kilometres. The sun's slowly dropping, it's still really warm. Feel a little bit fatigued. And I've still got a headwind. I'm going to try and push on to 150. And that takes a big chunk of the 500 off. But I've still got to find somewhere to stay tonight. So around about 150k in, I've made it to Castleford. Whoa. I'm going to see if this Premier Inn has rooms, because there's a Wetherspoons and a Nando's across the road. So it'd be handy if I can get a room and then go get some food. Oh.
Yeah, it's
Fully booked.
Yeah, sorry to see that.
Okay. Wowee. I didn't expect that. The size of this place. Right, have to get online. Oh dear. So here's the situation. There's no rooms left in Castleford anywhere. I've rung 4 hotels. So I'm having to go to Pontefract to the Travelodge. They have 4 rooms left, but she can't book them for me. And to get the cheaper deal, I need to actually turn up. So it's just a mad rush now to Pontefract and hope that 4 people don't turn up in the next half an hour. My uncle has rode longer than me and he ended up in hospital a few years back because of this low sun. A driver hit him. It always panics me now when I get to this golden hour and the sun's in front. It's golden hour now. Not that I can enjoy it. Currently 173 on the heart rate, 260 watts, buzzing through traffic, trying to get a Travelodge that's going to be overpriced. And this is actually taking me 10 miles out of the way I want to go. So 10 miles away from Bristol. Remember what I was saying this morning about the freedom of not booking a hotel? Well, this is the freedom. It's saying commute we trust, but I do hope there's a Travelodge at the end of this path. It started off as such a good day. The sun is setting really quickly. I've got lights, but like I said, I'm going in the wrong direction. But I need somewhere to stay. So when we get to this hotel, hopefully check in, and I'm going to book a hotel for tomorrow night. I eat my words. Hello. Is there rooms left?
There is, my love, yeah.
Wowee.
And I've got a ground floor room as well, so you can pop a bike in.
Thank you.
Alright.
So good morning and welcome to this Travelodge on the side of the motorway. Last night I spent far too long looking for somewhere to stay. So tonight I've booked a hotel already. After yesterday shouting about the freedom to stop when I want and book a hotel when I want, it seems that, well, a lot of the hotels midweek are fully booked with builders and workers and maintenance men and office workers and people travelling, etc. I thought it would be the opposite. I thought in the weeks the hotels would be empty and they would be super cheap, but they're not. This hotel was actually really quite expensive, and like I said, it's just a Travelodge at a services. Last night I managed to pop into KFC and they nicely gave me 3 portions of rice and 3 portions of chicken, and I sort of made a semi-healthy meal with that. I got some porridge pots from Marks and Spencer's for breakfast this morning, and that's what I would have had at home anyway, so that's great. I've got 170 kilometres on the cards today. There's a hotel at the end of it, which is a definite bonus. We've got around about 1,500 feet of climbing, so 500 more feet than yesterday. It's 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm leaving a little bit early. I'm going to give myself an extra hour and a half, and I'm going to take it nice and steady. The weather is lovely. It's still a little bit chilly, I just need to sink the woohoo and crack on. So let's get out of here. I feel like I'm about to join the A1M, which Commute says is absolutely fine, but it doesn't feel that right to me. Yeah, definitely on the A1M now. It says I'm coming off in 16 metres. Yeah, this is sketchy. Coming off now. Wouldn't like to do that for much longer. Commute we trust. Just like that, I'm back in the countryside seconds later. So that must have been the only way I could get from the hotel to here. And I'm taking the coat off. Yesterday I wore my coat a bit too long and I ended up getting a bit damp underneath due to sweat, and then when I did take the coat off I got cold. So I'm going to take the coat off now, early doors. It's too big to pack in the bag, so what I did yesterday is just slid it under here. Gives me easy access if I want to put it on later. It's due to rain tomorrow, so I'm trying to get as much done today as possible. This is the beautiful thing about cycling. I've lived in the northeast of England for 20 years, and the amount of trips I've done back home down south to see my family, and obviously I'd never ever use these roads. Now I'm just crossing the A1M and the M1 via all these country lanes, and I've probably passed these 100 million times over the last 20 years, but I've never seen them. And that's what cycling does. It gets you to see the roads that you won't use by car because they're just not quick, but they look like this. Only an hour after leaving the hotel, things take a turn for the worst. In rush hour traffic, a car decides to pull out in front of me. I emergency brake, but it was too late. Unfortunately, I hit the back of the car at around about 15 miles an hour, and I sort of come around on the floor. Yeah, right. Thank you so much.
No, as long as you're alright.
I haven't changed your morning too much.
We saved him some money on coffee. Yeah.
Bye.
Oh,
thank you. Bye bye.
Got my ill, there's loads of lorries.
Yeah. Bye. So, a cut ankle and a bruised knee. I will survive. A massive thank you to the family that took me in and gave me a cup of coffee. It is a big shock when something like that happens and adrenaline kicks in. I sort of knew I was alright once I was on the floor and my knee had stopped being so stiff. But yeah, it's just one of those things I suppose with riding bikes. So I'm 30 miles into this one. Oh, it's all going on this morning. 30 miles into this one, 2,500 feet of climbing. Sheffield is it's pretty up and down. Yesterday I had around about 30-40 kilometres of flat in Yorkshire. Today's a lot different. I think today's probably going to end on 6,000 feet. in just over 100 miles. My knee feels okay. It was a bit bruised for 45 minutes, but it feels a lot better now. But the sun is shining, and it would be a lot worse if I was climbing all of this in the rain. 50 miles is my planned lunch stop, so 20 miles to go, or whatever that may be. Hopefully not fast food. I'd love to find like a little delicatessen and not a McDonald's or KFC. Some good coffee and a nice big chicken and mayonnaise sandwich. Nearly halfway today, and this is much better. These little cycle paths. I'll show you about the bollards. Right, I am on that dot just there. About 75k, and I've got a 20k descent from there to there, which is absolutely magical. So do I go all the way to 90k and then descend to the bottom of that? But it doesn't look like there's much there. So I know what will happen. I'll end up descending that and then thinking, oh, I've only got 20k to go, I'll just finish it and then I won't eat. So I think I need to eat before this point here. Old lady doing her gardening there thought I was an absolute loon talking to myself. Climbing has definitely taken it out of me today. It's just up and down, up and down. And after last week in Tenerife, which is just up, just wait until I get to 90k, then I've got a full descent for about 15-20k. It's a little 10% on a 20 kg bike. This is my luggage as well. As Goggins say, when you think you've done, you've got 80% left. We'll see how true that is tomorrow. This day just keeps getting better. Pretty big piece of glass. I'll keep moving, see if it seals itself. It seems I've just entered a place called Ripley, 92 kilometres in. And this should be downhill now for 20k if the map's right. Oh, fish and chips. I am starving. I've lived off gels for the last 3 hours. And a bacon sandwich from Greg's, which I had at 11:30. I should have had more and I'm going to regret it, but after my little bump with that car, I just wanted to crack on. So unfortunately I haven't filmed for a few hours because I'm babysitting this piece of glass in my front tyre. Anytime the wheel stops spinning, the sealant just sort of starts spraying out. And I've worked out, like, even now, it's starting to bubble. So I've been just sort of pressing on a little bit as much as I can. I've got around about 5k to the hotel. I just want to make it there. I've got a spare tyre in my backpack and some more sealant, but I might have to put an inner tube in if I can't get it seated, the new tyre. But yeah, the roads have been a little bit uninspiring, if I'm honest. I'm gonna have to change the route tomorrow from road to touring, because I think touring takes you away from the motorways. Some of the roads I was on were horrible. Like, I don't mind lanes like this, but alongside the motorway, it's not for me. I love cycling, but not in fumes. It's been a hard day, if I'm honest. That was a really hard day on the bike, and tomorrow is actually harder. I'm gonna have to eat so much tonight. Good morning, the final day into Bristol. Last night I topped up with some Chinese, egg fried rice and some Cantonese style chicken, a big bottle of pop, a protein shake, some sweets, and I got into bed around about 9:30. But then I woke up at 5. It's now 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm pretty much prepped. I've got the route set and it looks around about 170 kilometres straight through Birmingham. I'm keeping it as simple as possible. The puncher, the glass came out but left a little bit in there. So what I've done is I just covered it with some super glue so that glass stays in there hopefully. Plug in the back as well, so I've covered that with some super glue. But yes, we had a little bump yesterday with that scratch there, but these bars have done alright. Oh, that's a bit loose actually, look at that. Might have to tighten that up. Yeah, that's really loose. Right, get that tightened and we'll get on the road. So we're 12 miles in and this doesn't want to seal at all. Not a lot of air is coming out, but I'm going to keep going and see what happens. Like I said, I've got a spare tyre and an inner tube and a plug, but I don't want to plug it and then it get bigger. Sometimes you can ram a plug in there and it will just goes to pot. So at the moment it's not too bad. I'll keep riding. At this time in the morning it's really busy, and I don't envy people that commute. I always struggle with that word. Yeah, it's people are just in a rush to get everywhere. But then I also don't mind using the cycle paths, but they're all covered in glass. I appreciate the cycle paths, but they're awful, absolutely awful. This route's taking me through Sutton Coldfield and now Birmingham, straight through the middle of the city centre. I don't really mind, to be quite honest, because if my tyre gets worse over the next 45 minutes, at least I'm in a built up area where I'll be able to find some, or a bike shop, because I have got a spare tyre, as I said. But it's not doing too bad at the minute. 25 miles in between these two places. Honey roasted cashews for breakfast, apart from the porridge pot that I had in the room, but I always have a porridge pot for breakfast. That's standard even when I'm at home. These are actually really quite nice. Power's well off now, but I'm not really bothered. I'm just taking it nice and easy. Spinny spin spin. I went to blow my nose earlier and my legs cramped, so I know that I'm a bit fatigued. But steady away, quarter of the way through today. Total's about 111 miles, I think. We're doing miles now. I've got border kilometres. Just change things up just to keep me interested. This tubeless is half working and half not working, but I'm half glad it's working, if that makes any sense whatsoever. You know what I mean? It's doing its job. It's still coming out every so often, but not enough for me to be worried about it. But this is the great thing about sealant. It can just keep you going. Still got a lot of pressure in it, so. This is where we're at, in the middle of nowhere. I've had to plug it. It was it was just leaking. But now I'm having to get out my razor kit to cut that off, because if that whips around and comes off, it will just pull the whole plug out. So I'm going to cut it down with my cutthroat razor that I use for my face. Can't see that lasting, but we'll see. ...84 miles, and I'm quite proud to say this has been my strongest day on the bike. I don't know whether it's because I know it's coming and I've done it. Like, imagine last night I was thinking about getting a hotel halfway through this route. It's only like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I've been riding for 6 hours. The bike weighs 20 kg and I've averaged 15 miles an hour, which is 2 miles an hour faster than every other day. You can literally do anything if you put your mind to it, I tell you. Incredible. This headwind has been non-stop for 500 kilometres. I couldn't be more thankful of these bars. I apologise that I haven't filmed, but this whole trip's made me realise I can't do big miles and film, and I've literally got as much as I could when I felt like filming. Like all the shots that you see, usually where I'm cycling past, they take up too much time when you're doing 170, 180k a day. And if I'm honest, it's a good achievement, but I don't even know if it's going to be that much of an interesting watch. It could be quite boring. Anyway, I'm rabbiting. 20 miles to go. Wowee. So I am 8 hours into this one. I've got a friend. Hello. Taking him down some sketchy paths. Bristol known for its cycling and, well, it's Bath really, isn't it?
Yeah. That's the big one.
I did this silly thing where I caught him up and we've been together for the last hour talking bikes. But I'm eventually coming into Portishead. I'm absolutely starving. This is not the right way, mate. I'm just looking for my auntie's house. I don't know which one it is. I've gone past it. Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Good riding, I appreciate that.
Thank you, mate. I don't know if I'm happy that I caught you now after you ripped my legs off. 502 kilometres, 4,764 metres of climbing and over 22 hours of cycling. I have cycled a huge part of the UK. Arriving at the party a day earlier, I had achieved so much more than I thought I could. But the problem now is, I've got the bug. How far can I go? What shall I do next?